Well, good evening to all of you. It's about 8 o'clock here, and we're watching this winter storm in the Piedmont Triad. Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley live with you now. Wanted to give you an update on what we're seeing and kind of dive into what's going to be happening as we go through the rest of tonight. Of course, we've been talking about it all week. Our News 2 weather impact alert days for Friday and for Saturday. That's still in effect here, and you can hear it probably as I'm speaking. We're out here in the News 2 weather garden. You hear that pinging sound? Yeah, that's the sleet. We've actually switched over in the last couple of hours, going from snow, which was so pretty and beautiful, you can kind of see it out here as well, now to more of this icy, nasty sleet kind of mixing in our area. So until tomorrow morning, we're going to continue to watch that threat. We've already noticed that the roads have been pretty bad across the whole area, and that's going to continue to be the case as we go through tonight. Slick roadways, when especially you're putting on some sleet and freezing rain on top of a little bit of snowfall that we've seen, anywhere 1 to 2 inches in the Triads and maybe more of that up in the foothills. That's going to be pretty slick and difficult to deal with. So make sure you can avoid it or at least be extra cautious when you're outside. Wanted to share this with you. This is when that snow started to begin earlier today in Winston-Salem. Really between 1 and 3 o'clock was when most of us started to see this picking up. So you're going to notice a couple of things. We'll start it at 2 o'clock. You can see those waves of snow kind of coming in, and then limited visibility when it was coming down really hard. And then since then, you noticed a couple things change. There was some better visibility when it switched over to sleet, and now we're seeing it ice over a little bit on the lens of that camera. That's something that a lot of us are probably going to see happen as we go into the rest of tonight. So this is 8 o'clock. We have to deal with this through about 2 a.m. or so. We're going to have that risk of some freezing rain and sleet kind of icing things over a little bit. So a good idea just to be on the safe side, to have things charged up and stay home and stay safe. Hey, by the way, this is a little stat for you. PTI in Greensboro did report at least an inch of snow earlier this evening. That's the first 1 inch of snow at PTI in 1,077 days. You have to go all the way back to January of 2022, which is about 3 years ago now, when we had 1.8 inches of snow. Pretty impressive just to see how long it's been. And it's been such a long wait for snow lovers, which is why it's unfortunate we're switching over to more of this iciness now and can't really keep that snow around too much longer. This is the latest radar. We're going to start on a local view and then widen it out a little bit. It's coloring all of this as snow. We know that's not the real case on the ground, as much of this is falling as some iciness at this time. On the wider view, you're starting to notice a couple of things change with this event. Obviously, it's moving past us a little bit now. The big chunk of it is over with, but we do have a lot more still to our south. What I'm also noticing, though, is that there's a bit of a drier slot, a bit of a dry area, a pocket here developing on our side of the mountains. That's a pretty nice thing to see. If we're going to be dealing with freezing rain and sleet, we don't want to deal with too much of that. So if that gap could get a little bit bigger and we could get a break, let's say for an hour or two, well, that'll help us to get through the rest of this event without too much iciness. Let's root for that here. As we take a bit of a closer view, we'll get a bit of a more high definition look. Right now, it should be dry for you in Wilkes County and Yadkin County. By the way, I've got some reports of 3 inches in Yadkin, 3 inches in Wilkes. 5 inches have fallen in Mount Airy earlier tonight, kind of the big winners of this storm so far. A little bit of drier air pushing into Wilkes County as well. Sorry, Forsyth County is what I meant to say. As we've been tracking where the sleet is falling and where the snow is still falling, we can use our dual polarized radar to kind of sniff that out. And you'll see that yellowish line. It doesn't need to look like anything, but this is just the way the technology is. That's usually where we're detecting those ice balls falling from the sky. And north of that line where it's uniform, still snowing. So up in Caswell County, Eden, Reedsville, you're still seeing some of that snow. But unfortunately for pretty much the rest of us now, we've gotten overtaken by that iciness and even in some cases, some of that regular freezing rain taking over as well. So not a fun situation, not a very snowy situation any longer. And as we look at the current conditions across the area, it's really cold. It's 26 with sleet being reported in Greensboro. Winston-Salem is 26 as well. All of us are in the mid-20s right now. But again, it's just going to depend on where we go the next couple of hours to see what we end up with. Let's look at your futurecast. It does indicate that little drier gap, as I said, over the next few hours. So we'll notice that maybe there's a little bit of a break in the action between about 8:30 to around 10:30 or so. After that, the backside, there is a hope and a prayer that the back edge could be a little bit snowy as well as sleet, but a lot of times we do stay sleet once we switch over to it. This is 1 in the morning here. This is around 2 and 3 a.m. And at that point, we're pretty much done. Once you get to around 2, 3 a.m. or so, we are winding down with drier air winning out. And early tomorrow morning, we're just dry with clouds in the 20s, and temperatures will not warm that much, but we will get some sunshine at least as we go throughout the day for your Saturday. And that would be when you want to take advantage of the sun to kind of help you get rid of some of this. Shoveling out the driveway, shoveling out the sidewalks, things of that nature. Let's show you the latest snow and sleet map around our area. I'll be blunt with you, you're not going to get an inch of snow in Asheboro anymore. I know you got some, but it maybe wasn't as much as you would like. That's not going to work out. Lexington, you did get about an inch to maybe a little bit more. Burlington, a little bit less, sorry to say. Greensboro around 1 to 2 inches seems to be about it for us. Farther north, though, there were some good totals of 3 to 5 inches. But bottom line, not much additional snow or sleet is likely because we've changed over. What we might have to face a little bit more than we thought initially is the risk of some ice and freezing rain. Not likely to be a concern here in the foothills, but across the Triad proper, anywhere from a glaze to maybe as much as 1/10 of an inch of ice is a possibility, at least through the rest of the evening. So all you can do to, worry about this is just to stay home if you can. And like I said before, charge things up just in case we were to have some power outages. Where there is a greater risk of a little bit more ice developing would be places in our southern counties like Davidson County, Randolph, Alamance, Chatham, all the way down to Montgomery and Charlotte as well. They could see upwards of 1/10 to maybe as much as 1/4 of an inch of ice, and that usually is kind of the borderline of where you start to run into problems. Once you get to 1/4 of an inch of ice, that's usually when you start to see things like trees getting weighed down a little bit, a couple power lines getting a little saggy as well. Timing on the storm, we're halfway through right now or so. We had the afternoon snow burst for most of us that accumulated. Now we're into the evening, but we're transitioning to that sleet and freezing rain. And to be honest, this is happening earlier than we were expecting. So it's going to limit those snow totals, make it a little bit less fun, and instead have that snow and sleet mix that does continue and really make the travel pretty difficult through the overnight hours. Tomorrow morning, though, as we said, it's all winding down by about 3 a.m. or so. So really after sunrise, things are going to be dry. And that would be the day you really want to clean everything up, because once we get through tomorrow, temperatures will be at least above freezing. They'll be in the mid to upper 30s, close to 40 for the afternoon. Once you get beyond that, then you're going to refreeze again overnight on Saturday. So once you get toward that sunshine, that's your best chance, best opportunity to break things up, move them away, shovel the driveway, shovel the sidewalks and things like that. I wouldn't want to be doing that once you cool down to 20 for tomorrow night. So bottom line, we're going to continue to see this mixed precipitation here with ice, sleet, and freezing rain. A little bit of snow could still burst toward the end of this. But once we get past 2 a.m., we're done. And then that sun does come out for tomorrow morning. The 7-day forecast looks quite a bit like this. We're going to keep that News 2 weather alert day in there for you for your Saturday. Just for the first half of the day. Once you get to Saturday afternoon, better to be around and moving about outside. But here's the thing. When you look at those temperatures, don't just look at the high temperatures here. Look at the mornings. You see how we're 18 on Sunday morning? 22, 24, 20, 17. Those type of really cold mornings are going to be a problem. Even if we only have 1 or 2 inches of snow and sleet around the area, the iciness factor makes it really difficult to melt, and we don't have a lot of warmth to go around. So the side streets could be really slick for a while, and I'm a little bit worried at how long that could continue to be the case. So Sunday morning, I think the neighborhood streets and the side roads will be a bit of a problem. Monday morning, same idea. You could still have that. So there could still be some disruptions and delays as we go into early next week, even though we're not seeing anything else fall from the sky, and even though we didn't get all that much snowfall in the first place. So just to round it up for you, we do have our News 2 weather impact alert. If you can, stay home. If you have to be out and about, use the best caution that you can. We still have several more hours of this. So even as we go toward midnight and around 2 a.m., there's still going to be more of this iciness that tends to develop and move about the area. Again, not that much snow. We got a little bit of it, but again, we are going to see a little bit more of this pushing through the area. And we're going to continue to have these updates for you as well as we go throughout the rest of the evening, 9 and 10 o'clock, and even into some of those overnight hours as well. Your weather team is on top of it for you to kind of guide you through our first winter storm in about 3 years, as the latest radar shows a little bit of a gap developing, and then back to potentially some more sleet and freezing rain to finish finish off the night. That 7-day forecast is going to stay very wintry over the next 7 days here in the Piedmont.